All right, Earthlings and Wormlings, welcome to another game stream of consciousness with your boys, the Thundering Dice Brothers. And we are taking a trip back to Middle Earth. We are going to dive into the Tolkien Legendarium today. But again, as always, stream of consciousness. So let's see where the zombie apocalypse takes us today.
I say the zombie apocalypse will take us back to the volcanic apocalypse of Orodruin in that wonderful episode 7 or 8, no, 6. No, that happened at the end of episode 6. That left the Southlands smothered in ash and Mordor born.
Yeah, let's just walk through the events that lead up to Orodruin exploding. So it's one of my favorite, examples of these people don't, I don't know, understand any kind of tactics. And I'm not saying I'm a tactician, nor have I studied tactics, nor have I read The Art of War. I guess I've just read enough fantasy and have a brain to know that the high ground is a good thing. A fortified position is better than a non-fortified position. And when you have a narrow causeway as the only point of attack, it's the best point of defense, and you should use it as such. So I know these things going into it, but the people who wrote these episodes, and indeed the characters who play them out, don't know these things. They prefer to abandon the high ground, abandon fortifications, and lay shitty ambushes for a diversionary force, and then get wiped out. It's pathetic and sad. And that is, I guess, pathetic and sad sort of sums out the entire season.
Yeah, pathetic and sad, yeah, definitely sums it up. Because, I mean, beyond the obvious tactical flaws, and then also as like a side point, there are multiple arts of war. Just Sun Tzu kind of gets the monopoly on it, but there are a boatload of Chinese scholars that came together to create more than that one text. But
my point is still valid. I haven't read any of the Sons of any of Sun Tzu's or anyone else's arts of war.
Yeah, but no, yeah. Like, you don't need to read it, to understand the obvious flaws in that one specific battle. I just don't get why they structured the whole show, or I mean, like, season 1. Let's just stick with season 1. I don't get why they structured season 1 the way they did. Like, from the inception to the conclusion, like, why is Gandalf there in the first place?
Yep.
Why are the Harfoots there also? Because, as we've stated many times, they're a cute, like C-plot that definitely doesn't...
At best.
Yeah, at best. That definitely doesn't have anything to do with the story. Be it lore or in the show itself, they're just there. The only thing that really happens is, Galadriel whines. Like, she starts out in the Frozen North, which is a missed opportunity because there's a boatload of... There's societies there that you could have explored for fun, and that would have been quite interesting. But no, you just start in the North, and she's just pushing her company extremely hard to find any trace of Sauron. So they finally get to the fortress, see a buttload of dead orcs that are like twisted. Some of them are melted into the wall. The air is this place is so evil that like warmth has forgotten it, and coal and water, sizzles on the table to reveal Sauron's weird ass sigil, which is just an inverted map for no good reason. Because, like, sure, and that's Morgoth's successor's plan to create a homeland for the orcs of their own, even though they've sort of had multiple homelands. Like, it's not like the Misty Mountains aren't a viable homeland. I mean, of course, like, at this point, it hasn't yet led to ruin, where, since Khazad-dûm is still active, but, like, there are plenty of places in Middle-earth that are nice and cozy homelands. That's just like the very beginning of the show. I mean, like, minus you can't talk about the prologue because the prologue that's just not real. I mean, like, everything about the show is obviously not real, but like what they try to do in the prologue is especially not real because you can't have the darkening. I mean, like, they have the darkening of Valinor more or less correctly when it comes to, or at least half of it correctly. Because, oh yeah, like, Morgoth was there. Great. You got that, but you don't have Angoli. I mean, like, I know they don't have the rights to it either, which is another problem. Is like, if you don't have the rights to it, don't even freaking bother trying to show what you don't have the rights to, so you don't rack on a really stupid story. Because, like, the light of the trees dying, and then the Valar just sitting idly by, in this respect, as the elves go and avenge this wrong, even though it is more of a slight against the Valar than it is against the elves at this point. So, like, why would the Valar stay silent and completely chill whilst the elves do their bidding for them in this respect, with the light of the two trees getting decimated? Like, yeah, that's just one part of it. As I said, I could go on and on and on and on about the prologue. It's like, just like the main great question is like, why did you structure this show the way you did? Because there's not a plot that you can follow. None of the characters, like, well, I mean, when I say none of the characters, most of the characters don't work. Durin and Elrond are the only ones that have weirdly have actual chemistry and can act together. I mean, like, Elrond is like the weaker of the two. I say the actor who plays Durin is much stronger. It's kind of interesting though, because it's a far cry from his days playing a DJ and killer on Death in Paradise. I bet you didn't know that.
No, I do not
remember
But now you say that though. Is it DJ on a boat thing?
No, he's a DJ on the he uses the gunshot. Like, he's on it. He's with his girlfriend, and he uses the speaker system to fire like to make a gunshot sound at a particular time, so everyone thinks that his girlfriend died at a particular time, even though he killed her in the shower, and then he uses the towel to drag her body up against the door, so it looks like she committed suicide.
That's right, in the shower and everything.
Yep.
Yeah, I do remember that now.
Yeah, so that's the dude who plays Durin.
Oh shit, that's funny. Well, I would never have guessed that, but of course the prosthetics and the makeup and the beard.
Yeah. I wouldn't have known if I hadn't seen his headshot, but when I saw it, I was like, holy shit, it's that bloke. Awesome.
And we also got to be talking how many years in between Rings of Power and that episode of Death in Paradise?
I'm pretty sure it's with Humphrey.
A dozen.
So I'm gonna anywhere between 7 and a decade, my guess.
Dude, it's gotta be older. Isn't that show older than that? Like, didn't it start in like 2005 or something? I actually don't know off the top of my head, and it's pointless to think about it because I'm not going to look it up right now. We got zombies to slay.
Yeah.
Either way,
I
would never have guessed that.
Yeah.
And I bet he was good.
Yeah, he's really good. Like, there isn't a moment that I find dull with him. Like, he can annoy me at times, especially in like season 2. He does some stupid shit where he's a little whiny, and you're like, oh, come on, mate.
Don't spoil it all for me.
I'm not spoiling anything. And besides, you can't spoil a show that's already been spoiled.
Yeah, you could spoil it for a person who has not followed it.
Okay, yeah, that is true, yeah.
The guy straight up just didn't watch it at all. I didn't really care to at first. I just assumed it was going to be crap because I'm jaded and cynical.
But you didn't know how bad.
Oh, God, no. Holy cow, I'm so
It's
bad.
at the end. Reload.
Ooh.
But no, yeah, like, you expected it to
good.
be bad, but you had no real concept of how bad it was. I mean, like, how bad was it, actually? Like, for your first time.
It was so boring. The things that people do don't make sense, which takes you out of it. The side plot with the Harfoots is pointless, which takes you out of it. The pretend mystery around all the characters when it becomes so transparent so early doesn't work for me. The trying to imitate Lord of the Rings in certain musical notes and camera angles and shots and, recreating scenes essentially doesn't work for me. The music is punching so far above its weight that it deserves to be in an actual Peter Jackson movie and not this dreck. So those are all the things that annoy me about the show. And then there's little small dumb things that, I might be able to overlook if there were better stories told. Things like the silly lack of tactics, or how physics doesn't work, or Arendir being more like Tuvok than Tuvok is. I mean, you know, I could forgive that stuff if the other stuff around it was good, but I can't because it's not.
Yeah.
So I won't.
No, yeah. That sums it up perfectly in my mind. Like, yeah, it's an extremely boring show that 80% of the episodes, nothing really happens.
Yeah, there are so many things to just establish where they're at. So Galadriel leaves the north, and then they decide the war is over, and she goes to Valinor, but not really. And then she dives off, and she swims for many, many leagues, you know, thousands of, apparently of miles, and survives. And then randomly there's a group of survivors of something. We're not really sure what, but there's definitely an evil sea creature down there that somehow she and Halbrand are the ones that escape, and they make to Numenor. And after that, they stay in Numenor, and they bitch, and they fight, and they bitch some more with other people, and they fight some more with other people. And he does the whole, I don't feel like being a king. She's like, but you have to be a king, because suddenly she cares about the Southlands because she wants to use them because she's a manipulative bitch. And she sees him as a tool and a means to an end, not an actual person, which is why she overlooks all his obvious flaws that we as the audience see completely obviously. God damn it. And I'm like thinking too much about it. But that's all that happens. And then, let's see, the Harfoots prove that they're useless and pointless. Gandalf just kind of does weird shit. But again, it has no bearing on the actual story, which is the Rings of Power, my friends. Let's not lose sight of what we're actually trying to watch. It's not Gandalf's journey through Hobotown. It's the Rings of Power. So, yeah. And all of that to say that we go to Middle-earth, get our ass kicked by a mountain and some fucking dumb elves and a weird half-elf dude. Or dumb orcs and a half-elf dude.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, shit. Yeah, and then they get their asses kicked, go home. Oh, this is not going well. Oh. Let me get out of here. Oh my god, no. I couldn't make it through.
Well, you're on your own now.
Yeah. Well, so they made it back to Numenor, and the king is dead. So there's black flags everywhere, so everyone's doubly sad. The Southlands are fucked. They're cooked, literally, by the improbable volcano that didn't kill enough people or anybody important.
Anyone.
Including Isildur, obviously. So why would you even obfuscate that Isildur is dead? Like, it's such a dumb thing to do when everybody who's watching this has already seen The Lord of the Rings. I mean, show me one person who has watched The Rings of Power who hasn't first seen The Lord of the Rings, The Hobbit, has possibly, or both, read the books and other accompanying lore. I bet you 99% of the people watching that shit have already seen Lord of the Rings or The Hobbit or read the books.
Yeah.
We all fucking know Isildur isn't gotta be dead. So why would you even try to pretend and obfuscate that he's dead? It doesn't make any sense. It's not dramatic irony when the whole world knows that he's gonna survive. Like, you can't give away the plot armor before something bad happens. It's just dumb.
I'm more curious to see what you will think of his scene his opening scene in season 2, actually, because it's like, I'm obviously not going to tell you what it is, but it's especially bad.
Let's happy these fuckers here.
And then also, I mean, speaking of Isildur, as I was saying in our episode 8 reaction video, he's around 2,000 years too early.
Yeah, so, let's not even, like, forget about the fact that the timeline is so fucked up that you couldn't unravel it even if you were a Tavern tugging it straight.
No, yeah. Very, very, very true. And
it's frustrating because we all know there's a ton of good stuff you could tell. A ton of stories that you could dive into, and they chose to not.
Yeah, and they chose to not. Yeah, exactly. Like,
because they know better.
They know something, let's put it that way.
Or they're smoking something.
They're definitely smoking something. Well, I don't know if you, like, have you seen what the showrunners look like?
No.
Oh, okay.
Does it matter?
Yes. Well, no, it's sort of...
Should I form judgments on a show based off the people that run it? Like,
yes.
Are they, like, straight-laced or what?
No. I'll... If you just see their they're like, dude, they just look like accountants. Like that's what I mean. They just look out of place. They don't look like they should be showrunners. They're all like suited up and perfect. As I said, they look like accountants or like shitty lawyers. Like they don't look like they have anything creative in their self.
But the thing is, they wouldn't have. It would have been better if they had if they had tried to be less creative. Ironically, if they had stuck to more source material and maybe painted by the numbers sort of thing instead of free flowing, maybe it would have worked out better. It would have been possibly like, I don't know, they would have gotten less fulfillment out of it or something. But we would have liked it a whole lot more if it were sticking to the strokes of what Tolkien wrote.
Yeah, no.
So it was already laid out for them.
Yeah, it's already laid out for them. There's a timeline. It's pretty easy. I mean, and it's not like it's a hard narrative to weave, because as you said, it's basically all laid out, Like, since we're talking about the Rings of Power, all right, cool. You have, like, a 300-year window where the Rings of Power are 300 to 400-year window that the Rings of Power are getting made. So, yeah, I mean, like, you start with... I mean, of course, since they wanted to end with the Last Alliance and, like, the overthrow of Sauron at the end of the Second Age, that does kind of screw this up a little bit, because you're going to have a massive time jump sooner or later. Because unless you...
So why don't they just make a show that's not called The Rings of Power and just call it The Last Alliance? Dope.
Well, you can't make 5 seasons out of The Last Alliance.
Why? You don't think that you can make a story about the lead up to it?
I think you...
Well... No.
Well, no. I would. No. I think they're sort of right in this respect to have, like, you get to see the forging of the rings. But if this is a 5-season arc, season 1, it would, in my mind, should be Anatar coming to Eregion and the beginning of the knowledge transfer. Jesus, Sauron teaching. My God, Sauron teaching.
The knowledge transfer. It's like, plug me in.
I know, right? I was like for a second, Futurama kind of took over my brain, and I was seeing Hermes get cut up. So it screwed with me.
And I'll cut out your Zoidberg's call.
Right, but no. So I'd say, like, yeah, season 1, Anatar / Sauron shouldn't come to Eregion. You get, like, you can also bring in Narvi and Celebrimbor. That's kind of cool, though the timeline there might be slightly askew too. I'd have to check, but I don't think that's too big of an issue here. But no, yeah, like, so you just bring in Anatar, stuff like that. They start learning under his tutelage. Slowly the progression, gets better. You can have some, like, orc mischief in the background to keep Gil-galad kind of, like, occupied. And something for Galadriel to do, too, because let's just leave Galadriel there, because, one thing I will say about Tolkien, it's a sausage fest. I mean, unless you're talking about the First Age, and especially in Valinor, where the women are a lot more important, the later you get on, the less and less women play a pivotal, active role. And when I say that, everyone don't freak out. I'm not saying that the women don't play a huge role, but, like, I mean, come on.
It's just a problem, and it's a problem that Peter Jackson and Philippa Boyens acknowledged when they were writing the script. They're like, we need to get more females in this because it is just a bunch of dudes.
Yeah.
And it for better or worse, it's nice having, Liv Tyler on screen for us, even if we had to invent some roles for her.
Yeah,
at least they had the good sense to cut out a scene of her leading elves at the defense of Helm's Deep and having her do a bunch of battle scenes and stuff. We already had a bunch of, like, Eowyn doing battle scenes and stuff, and that worked out really, really well.
Well, they cut out the most egregious of Eowyn's battle scenes, too, because there's a scene where she's holding, like, the gate against not the gate, but, like the entrance to the Glittering Caves against a boatload of Uruk-hai single-handedly. During the
for real?
Yeah, during the siege, they decided, like, no, let's not do this, because this doesn't work well. Since they also got rid of Aragorn.
No, God damn it! What the hell was that? I got zapped by gas cloud.
Yeah. Though they got rid of Arwen's scenes in the Two Towers, they didn't get rid of her shadow.
Yeah. It's just like the fight scene at the end, or not the end, I guess, in front of the Black Gates with Aragorn. Initially, it was a CGI fight between Aragorn and Sauron, a manifestation of Sauron out there.
Yep.
And thankfully, they decided that was stupid. leave that moment just to have Frodo and Sam be the ones that take him down and not split it up. Don't split focus, I guess. It works better for a movie. So they replaced that with a giant troll. So it looks kind of funny, and you can see how it's been re-edited around it, but minor gripe.
Though, major gripe, it isn't Frodo and Sam who take down Sauron.
It's Gollum. Okay, whatever. Or no, it's the ring takes itself out. No.
Yeah, evil always undoes itself. Yeah, Jesus, that was a weird thing.
Sometimes it requires some messed up sacrifice, like a finger sometimes, and sometimes a whole lot more.
Yeah, I mean, it's actually a whole lot more for Frodo, because, I mean, he loses his finger, but, like, his life essentially on Middle-earth is over. Like, he cannot endure for long the pain of having carried the ring for so many years, and everything he had to do and go through. So, like, you know, I mean, like, it's that quest really fucks him over. And it's not like going to Valinor gives him eternal life. It doesn't. It actually diminishes his life, because Tolkien clearly states that mortals who go to the Blessed Realm are like rejuvenated and like brought back to hale health, but their lifespan is greatly diminished, because a mortal cannot live in the realm of the gods without it like making their candle burn brighter than the wick can sustain.
Which is great. I think that's a worthy trade-off. A shortened lifespan in bliss and kind of whatever their version of heaven is.
Yeah.
Versus a longer lifespan on Middle-earth that's basically sort of a shadow of a life. You never quite feel good.
Yeah.
Or whole.
The sad thing is that like Frodo and Sam are never reunited though, because they both go to the West, but they never get to see each other again.
So Frodo dies before Sam makes it there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, not all tales have like the ending is happy, but it is sort of bittersweet for some members of the Fellowship.
Yes.
Obviously, Boromir doesn't make it out.
Or nope.
Merry and Pippin probably come out well.
Yeah, Merry, Pippin, and Sam come out well. I mean, Aragorn comes out well. I mean, you know, he gets a freaking elf as a queen, so like, you know, that's scoring in Tolkien land.
Yep, and you know she's gonna keep it tight.
Yep. I'm sure there's some magic juice there.
Yeah, okay, here's the thing. In all this, representation and fat acceptance, why don't we have fat elves ever? Like, we've already given them butch haircuts, so why aren't they fat yet? Why don't we have representation for the fatties? Are they all on Ozempic?
Because we have the dwarves to be stumpy, short, fat people. Because we're slightly...
So you're saying that the producers at Amazon are using short people, little people, dwarves as stand-ins for the fatties?
Hey, it's not my fault that they're full of bigotry.
That's messed up. Yeah, dude, we call them as we see them, right? Balls and strikes, and this is definitely a ball right down the middle of my ball sack.
Yeah, I'm very disappointed. Shame on you, Jeff.
What would Peter Dinklage say? Because he's got an opinion about everything dwarf-related. He is the spokesman of all dwarves. And we're going to hell.
You said it, I didn't. I nominate Warwick Davis.
Yes.
Fuck Peter Dinklage.
The one true little person.
Yeah, damn straight. He was in Willow. Peter Dinklage was in Station Agent. That's basically trash.
Although we shouldn't really celebrate Willow too much, because...
no, that's shit.
I mean, I really tried watching it again. I tried, and I couldn't. And I can watch a lot of things that are campy and corny and, you know... give me fond memories of my childhood, but aren't necessarily the paragons of cinematic brilliance that I thought they were when I was 6 years old. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And Willow, I cannot get back to that state.
No. But trust me, as bad as you think the movie is, the TV show is worse.
Oh, snap. I forgot that they actually...
Disney took it down.
They
removed it from their own streaming service. It was that... I watched it all.
Where can this be found? It must be available somewhere. We must be able to retrieve it.
We need
the bowels of the internet.
No. We need to get it, because when I say this, like you might not believe me, but Rings of Power is actually good TV in comparison.
Oh, damn.
I mean, like, actually good TV.
Okay, I really need to get Juggernog. I've been talking and dying.
Yeah, you really should. There's a reason I've survived is I have Juggernog. But no, yeah, like, dude, we gotta find some Willow, and we gotta watch it all, because it is, like, I mean, like, no, seriously, like, it's... It's worse than Matrix 4.
But it's probably a different kind of bad, though. Like, the Rings of Power isn't bad because its production is bad, or because its acting is necessarily bad, or because it's corny or campy. It's bad because it's just poorly done in terms of execution and wanting us to... drawing an audience in and having characters that we want to care about and we root for. That's what it fails on. I suspect Willow fails on for different reasons.
Willow cannot be explained, it must be experienced.
Oh, like mushrooms.
Yes. But Rings of Power can be explained.
You could write your master's thesis on what went wrong in those 8 episodes.
Oh, yeah. So much went wrong. I mean, like, just so many, faux pas and just bad ideas and stumbled storylines and no sense of character direction, plot direction, actual direction, time, distance, weather, food, for fuck's sake.
Yeah. Again, bringing all the Gondorians over in a few boats, but there's hundreds of them, and they're all mounted cavalry, so all of their armor, all of their horses, all their horses' armor, all their horses' kit, all their horses' bridle, saddle, feed, farriers for horseshoes. You have to have replacement mounts as well, because horses will die, they will go lame, they will get sick, they will get killed by an orc or I don't know, raped by a horny Southlander. You never know down there.
Jesus Christ.
So there's a lot of things to consider when you're floating across the sea in your boat to set up camps that apparently you already have done before, but not really, because that's not how the timeline works in real life.
Yeah.
They talk about having previous outposts, so it sounds like they've been there before, but that's not possible. And we've explained why in other videos, why that's not possible.
Yes, once again, the timeline is crucial.
Is it, though?
Yes.
I mean, you're fond of saying that time is made up. Time is a human construct. So might we say that Amazon is just leaning into your concept of fluidic time? And
for the audience, and also for my own interest, do sum up what my view of time is.
Oh, that time doesn't matter. Like, we made it up. We segmented it. It moves so relative to our own perception that it's clearly not real.
Okay, can you more concisely say my two or one line phrase that I narrow it down in?
I'm sorry I don't have that memorized.
Okay,
Ian, no.
everything inside of 24
It's like a quiz.
everything inside 24 hours is real. Everything outside of 24 hours cannot be measured.
That's right. It's like a video game rendering.
Yes,
You
exactly.
render so many frames at a time.
And
your brain can only perceive and remember correctly. And actually, every single time you think of a memory, you are essentially re-rendering it. And as we know from JPEG degradation, every time you basically copy and paste a JPEG, it gets a little bit worse. Every time you copy, let's say, a VHS back in the day to a new tape, it gets a little bit worse.
Mm-hmm.
And so do your memories. Every time you kind of recall them and recount them, especially if you haven't like written them down or don't have an active recording of that memory.
Yes.
Each rendering will be a little bit different.
Yep.
And a little bit worse and a little bit fuzzier. Just try to recall faces clearly. I mean, actually, that's a terrible example.
Yeah, that's a lot easier for me than you would think.
I have hypophantasia or whatever. Self-diagnosed. I just don't see pictures in my head very much.
You
Not
just
that
see
it really
numbers
bugs me.
and binary.
Yes, I see the Matrix. I see code.
Good old Matrix.
Great movie, but that's kind of dumb. Being able to like just see the world through ones and zeros. I don't think
It's too much information.
Process that. It's billions of lines of code for one thing. Like, how many lines of code does it take to code the perfect apple in Blender or something? That's
Oh yeah.
100% three-dimensional, has perfect light reflection dynamics.
Yeah, it's
and then add the flavor, taste, smell, touch, the waxy coating or not, the floweriness or the crispness, the tartness or the sweetness. Yeah, all these things would be ridiculous to code.
Yeah, and then multiply that to a billion, or a trillion, or a gazillion, however fucking how much the reality actually is. Yeah, it would be stupendous to see.
God damn it!
These golems are really annoying.
I know, and I'm out of ammo, so it's really fucking annoying to try to get down these stairs, you know? I have no way to, like, clear the room, so to speak, before me. There we go.
Yeah, and the golems can't do it for you.
Or do I... Alright, let's go ahead and...
Yes, let's try the Vox.
Take a chance on me. Do-do-do-do-do. Oh, wow. You're gonna do me like that, huh?
Yeah, I got that too earlier on.
That's
Much
some
to my
fucking
chagrin.
weak shit. Oh,
Ooh,
baby. Be
nice.
good to me. Be good to me.
What?
Alright, well, the timeline is fucked in Rings of Power. Let's talk about why the characters aren't connectable. You know, I'll talk about why I might have difficulty connecting with the characters, and maybe you can say why you might have difficulty with the characters. So for me, I guess Galadriel is just kind of whiny. So she starts out very pouty, very, very sure of herself, like, no, I'm right. And at this point, there's nothing really that separates her from any of the other elves, as far as I can tell. She's just in the hierarchy, the command structure. She's a little bit higher than everybody else. But there's nothing, like, overtly obvious that she's better, smarter, more compassionate, more capable. Until they give her weird little things to do, like murdering a troll. More easily than the entire Fellowship company could do collectively against one troll and a handful of goblins. So...
Yeah.
That's not a great intro. And beyond that, she only pursues her interest the entire time. She is so sure of herself the entire time, pretty much without evidence. Like, she actually ignores evidence to the contrary, oftentimes, that her way of going forward is right, particularly in regards to Halbrand come Sauron.
Yeah.
If I could figure it out by, like, what, halfway through or something? I don't know where it was when I finally figured it out, but I don't know, somewhere around halfway through I started suspecting. Crap. So, that was pointless. Or Galadriel is just a pointless character. Oh my god. Goddamn golems. I'm blinded. Blinded by the stink.
Blinded by the light.
Run!
Ooh. Yeah, so yeah, she's a useless character.
She's flat. She's fairly emotionless actually as an actress. She doesn't connect well with the other characters on screen with her, but she doesn't share well, period. As a character, she's very, very sure of herself, and arrogantly so, and annoyingly so, and pointlessly so. Doesn't actually get her anywhere. Halbrand, obviously sketchy from the first moment we meet him. Somehow he survives this multiple catastrophes that are totally nebulous and made up, as it turns out, as well. Who are these people he's roped in there with him? We don't know, but they're probably helpless victims of his machinations in the end of the day. The weird sea creature that killed them, no idea what that was about, but that was convenient as hell that it showed up so that only they would survive. How convenient, and yet they survived. Just like somehow she swims for millions of miles and doesn't die or drown. I mean, fuck, I know elves are immortal and have great stamina, but there are limits as far as I know. And then let's think about Halbrand himself. So he's sketchy right away that he survived all that stuff. He instantly has identifying marks that she recognizes as being part of the Kingdom of the Southlands, which I don't know how she would just have that memorized, too. What the fuck does she care about the Southlands? She's been up in the frozen north chasing down leads with her companions.
Yeah.
But whatever, she's an elf and old, so she might know things that I don't account for. And then he has the whole annoying hero's journey type thing where it's, I refuse the call to action because I've seen and done evil things, and I couldn't possibly bear to face up to that and start over again. To, well, fuck, shucks, I guess you got me. I guess I'll go and save my fellows down in the south. Oh boy, heck. And then instantly betray the whole thing. And then she starts finally being like, I wonder if this mysterious man might actually not be who he says he is. And then there's these, like, genealogy scrolls. And, of course, this genealogy scroll is a straight line, which is really weird. Like, how fucking inbred is this family line? And if... All right, so for context, those who are playing for the home team back out there, a straight line on your genealogy tree means basically your parents and your aunts and uncles have continuously been banging to create you. So that's how you get those weird things like those Habsburg facial features. That's how you get, like... Down syndrome rampant running through your family, other just physical and mental problems. So don't be like that. So that's just a really stupid thing that I wish they had it bugs me. It's not it doesn't really matter that their genealogy is on a straight scroll, and I know it's a straight line because they showed us the bottom part of it. So don't tell me it's sideways, you fools.
Yeah.
And they also read it, like a scroll, like hear ye, here is the inbred lineage of Halbrand the douche.
The douche. yeah, you're right.
And he is kind of a douche too. He's kind of a douchey pretty boy who whines about his place, and all he wants to be a craftsman. All I want to do is like create order in the world. All I want to do is forge these rings of power and control you. Like, it's so annoying. Anyway, that's Halbrand. He's annoying because it's obvious that he's not a good guy. He's too pretty. He's falsely humble, which is the worst kind of humility. It's the worst kind of boasting, I should say. It's like passive aggressive boasting, It's like the boasting where you leave post-it notes about how great you are.
Yeah.
Like, hey, I made sure I made your dinner just so that you didn't have to, because I know you're not very good at it. Like, man, thanks, douche. Anyway, let's see. That's just 2 of the characters.
What about boring Gilgalad?
Who?
Exactly.
Yeah, actually, all the Elven characters are super flat. He's and only one of them has long hair.
Yeah, it's Gilgalad. He's the only one that has long hair. It's so fucked up. I mean, Celebrimbor has short hair. I mean, Elrond has short hair. Arondir has short. Arondir has like a military cut, for fuck's sake.
Well, Arondir looks like Tuvok, man. The way his facial expressions and everything.
Yeah, and he's the wrong skin tone. He just is. Like, elves are pale.
We're just gonna be real honest, guys. Like, it's a thing, and Tolkien didn't have cross-country pollination going on in Middle-earth. Like, it just wasn't. It's the British Isles, basically. There's no Africa to trade with. There's no, like, Asia to trade with right now, as far as I know.
No, well, okay. If you're going far to the east, like the Horadrim and shit like that, then you do
why would they be elves?
Sorry, not elves. No, you're right. I just thought about, like, the other parts. Wait, come back here. Let's get pack a punch of gun.
Oh, roger that.
But no, elves though. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, they're all gonna be white as sheets.
All right, so then we've got, let's talk about Arondir. Arondir and Bronwyn, because they're sort of connected. Their stories are kind of connected, right?
For now.
But, like, all right, so Bronwyn should have died a bunch of times. I don't care who you are. You can't get a broadhead arrow, a barbed orc arrow, through your chest in a period of time that equates to sort of the medieval period, where germ theory and medicine don't really exist.
But come on, you have special seeds with an elf.
Oh, but that's like, that only works with Ethelos, and that's because it's like Aragorn and stuff.
And actually, Ethelos has lore behind it too.
Yeah, exactly. Like, that's actually a thing. Whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, so, the elfin seeds.
Bronwyn should have died. I'm going to motivate the troops, and then I'm going to give up in front of the troops, and then I'm going to re-motivate the troops with Arondir, is such a terrible trope, and they're going beat for that crap in Helm's Deep, which pissed me off when I saw it in Helm's Deep, and it still pisses me off now. Mm-hmm. You would never have a conversation about your troops' lack of courage in front of those troops while they're actively walking the ramparts up, waiting for what you are now telling them is sudden death, and they're not ready to face it. And then you have to say, well, if they were this to be our end, I will make such an end as to be worthy of remembrance. So you're going to have all that stuff. You want to talk your troops down, and you want to motivate them all in front of them multiple times. That's what fucking Bronwyn does too in that tower. And then they mount the worst defense ever, so pointless. See, it's just so frustrating. So even if she were a good, and okay, she's also way too clean all the time. Yeah, every other Southlander is gross and nasty and sketchy looking and shifty as all hell. And then you have Bronwyn wearing her perfect, like, blues and pastels, looking very pretty and innocent, with her kid Theo, who, if his name is Theoden, it sounds Tolkien-esque. If it's Theo, it sounds like it came out of, I don't know, you should be serving me a kebab somewhere.
Yeah, you're right. The name does just take you out. You might as well call him Chris.
So, moving on, we do have Elrond. Not terrible. He doesn't look like Elrond, for being an elf. I think they would have tried to make him look kind of like Elrond, the Hugo Weaving dude.
And his hair is the wrong color, too.
Oh, all their hair is just stupid. Well, yeah.
He's raven
The
hair.
hair
not,
just looks.
not blonde.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah, they got that. They got it right in the Lord of the Rings.
yeah.
I mean, actually, they got all the elves looking right in Lord of the Rings. You know, they had Galadriel and.
I mean,
and,
the Galadriel, they got.
Celebrimbor,
I mean, like they did so perfectly, even like with the Christmas lights to sparkle in her eyes to reflect the light of the two trees and shit like that. I mean, like they use those beautiful practical effects to make her glow.
It looks so good.
It does, yeah. Looks like a real person, not just or like a real elf, not just like a person who is cosplaying as an elf.
It looked otherworldly, ethereal. Yeah. And they did the same thing with Arwen.
Yeah.
And to a lesser extent, Legolas. They gave him all kinds of things that he got to do, like walk on the snow while everyone else was sinking in, being able to run sort of fleet of foot, see far.
He does
Very,
do
like,
symbolic
elvish things.
Acrobatics, though, especially when it comes to that
some
horse
of that
scene.
CGI stuff. Oh my god, that's awful. Guys, if you ever want a good laugh, like
That's
it can be forgiven just like watching it in passing during the scene. You may be like, "Well, that's kind of cool." He like grabbed onto the bridle and he swung right into the saddle. Well, if you look at the direction that he goes the opposite direction that you would actually want to go. So it would have fucking snapped his wrist or his elbow or his shoulder or all three of those things. So he flips the back the wrong way, which looks really stupid. And when you slow it down frame by frame, it's just awful CGI of its time. And then let's go back to another CGI part with Legolas's bullshit. Let's go have him surf down the stairway of a rampart and shoot his arrow bow and arrow at a bunch of orcs down there. Like, first of all, where is it? Why is that stairway there? Why is there a stairway that leads off the outside of your keep? That seems dangerous.
Well, no, that's on the inside of the wall because they've already breached.
Oh, they've already breached it.
Yeah.
Still, I think it's mostly there just for. I mean, even so, you'd still want most of your stairways behind a wall, not in front of a wall. If you can have multiple layers, your keep is the last layer. You wouldn't want many stairways probably on the outside of it. You want to have those on the inside, protected by, I would imagine, gates or doors.
Well, no, he's on the he's on the deeping wall. He's not in the keep yet.
He's on the outside of a wall. He's on the orc side of the wall. Not
yes,
not
but but that's because they've already broken in. So both sides.
Why is there? But why is? Yeah, but he's still.
It's a bad scene, no matter what.
Yeah,
like I don't like it either.
We're really arguing about pedantics.
Yeah, we are. Like it's stupid that
it looks really dumb. Him surfing down there and shooting them.
Him using his bow and arrow that long too is retarded. Like you don't use a bow and arrow in close quarter combat. No one does. It's a dumb move.
Like even the most basic RPG games know that ranged weapons work best from a distance, and melee is just sort of you get like melee weapons are for up close. It's called range fighting, and even game designers understand this.
Yeah, it's pretty simple theory.
Actually, I would argue the game designers of the Lord of the Rings Game Boy game understood that better than Peter Jackson and co did, because I remember that game, and bow and arrow worked. You got a negative multiplier or like. Modifier if you were using your bow within like one square.
Yeah.
Or it might not even have let you use your bow within one square.
I haven't played those. In the turn-by-turn game, you couldn't use it in the. Yeah, you have to be at least 2 squares away, and then in the RPG part, definitely using it close by. Like you could use close range, but it was retarded because the orcs would always get you. So.
Yeah. All right, so we've established that the Game Boy designers knew more about physics and battle tactics than the writers for this fantasy show that relies heavily on epic battle scenes. So +1 there, boys. You crushed it. Task failed successfully. Moving on, we've got Arendir is pointless to talk about. He's not even a main character. He's just kind of there.
Yeah.
And he's boring. He's really boring. He doesn't do anything, so we can forget about him. We have to kind of talk about Gandalf, I guess, as one of the characters, even though he doesn't have much personality, I guess, until the end when he stops grunting and he starts.
As soon as he gets a hold of the weird wraith staff, he suddenly has a flood of knowledge and can speak. Like, what?
Yeah, what's that about? Like, I do remember her saying, "Make him understand."
Yeah.
But I didn't see anything really come of that. And yeah, he gets the staff and
then says some cute little...
Another misdirection thing, of course, this one was the Gandalf one. These acolyte people show up and they say that he's Sauron. Who was watching this believed for a moment that was Sauron? Like, who are they trying to fake out there?
Well, no. In defense of this, when I first watched it, for a second, I was just like, this show is so bad, I'm not going to be surprised if they actually do it.
Oh.
Like, I was
pretty convinced at that point that Halbrand was Sauron.
Well, no, so was I, but like but they got everything so wrong that.
But they had left so many hints that he was obviously going to be Gandalf. Like,
well,
think
no,
about
I
all
agree,
the callbacks
but
to moths and butterflies. Like, God, they could not be more overt about that.
I mean, like, I don't disagree.
Plus, he shows up in gray rags and wears gray rags when they get like it's.
Yeah, and the Harfoots. Like, I don't disagree with you, but like, come on, can you? After everything that I've told you that they got wrong in lore, is it really a surprise that I was left wondering, like, are they this stupid? Yeah, it could be.
It's not surprising at all. Yeah, I'm just questioning whether most people like were like did they think they were being clever, you know? Because if they were in that mindset, they thought we'll be clever and we're going to throw one last misdirection at everybody in the 8th episode, because we didn't actually do anything for the previous 7 really. I mean, at least half of it was pointless.
No, I think they thought they were being clever. Yeah.
Nothing worse than that, is it? And I don't claim to be a clever like writer. I don't write television shows. I don't write stories.
Neither do they.
I can yeah, burn. But I can tell you what I don't do and don't like, and I can tell you why. And that's really all you can expect out of an audience.
Yeah.
And playing down to, it's not even playing down to a lowest common denominator. Like, they're not even looking to see, okay, will people get it, or do we have to explain this? It's mostly just they're playing into member berries too much. They're relying on a given fan base, of an established fan base, and Lord of the Rings fans, both from the book and from the movies. So they have a built-in fan base. They figured we can basically do whatever we want, and we're guaranteed to have some people watch it.
Yeah.
And that's unfortunate.
It is.
I really wish they had that mentality with Wheel of Time, because I honestly think Wheel of Time was going to turn into a better show than The Rings of Power is so far.
Oh, Season 3 was miles better than Season 1. I mean, Season 3 of A Wheel of Time was miles better than Season 1 of
and it still sucked.
Rings of Power, and it still sucked. But
like,
Season 2 doesn't get any better.
The only reason... Oh, fuck. Like, at least there was growth between 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah, exactly.
As opposed to, well, I don't know yet. I can only go by what you've said. Hearsay, I suppose that would be called.
Well, I'll put it to you this way.
Yet.
The ultimate battle of Season 2 is somehow worse, stupider, and makes even less sense than the ending battle of Season 1. It is possible to make something worse, and they did.
So I wonder if this is a common problem with people who write fantasy. Do they just... Because I noticed that fantasy writers tend to research and flesh out battles well when it's necessary. I mean, I think the best example in recent time memory is Brandon Sanderson fleshes out like battle scenes, at least from certain perspectives, very well, and gives you sort of a flavor of what's happening.
Yeah.
So I appreciate that kind of stuff. So why can these things be fleshed out well on page, but are not translated then well onto a screen? Where is the disconnect there? Why do battles have to be rewritten? It's not like in Saving Private Ryan, Steven Spielberg decided to rewrite the attack on the beachhead. You know, like, let's start with like attack helicopters and we'll strafe the beach with like M60s. No. So I don't.
Well,
I don't get it.
The easiest way I would say is that when fantasy writers specifically tend to write battles, the writers themselves are invested in the story and like know what they're trying to do and understand what's at stake, and they actually care about the product they're crafting because their name is attached to it in a way that connects to the fans that love the story. Not every single, but a lot of television show writers I've seen are basically strangled by like corporate formula, and the writers aren't themselves the ones who are crafting the story. A lot of times, it's producers and directors and the showrunner be like, all right, this is how the season 1 goes, now write it.
Yeah, and I think that's maybe that's what differentiates between good producers and bad producers. Is a good producer knows when to direct the director and when to let the director and the writer do what they do best, and that's write and direct.
Yeah.
And a bad producer thinks that they can write and direct better than the people they hired to write and direct because they hired them and they say, I'm your boss, therefore you listen to me. I'm sure there's a lot of like BS ego crap that goes into it as well. These Amazon executives, the bean counters. Yeah, I'm reminded of that Rush song where they're talking about, you think that the music industry is genuine and upright, but really it's just cutthroat and totally bullshit. I wish I could recall the lyrics on the top of my head right. Living in the limelight, the universal dream, for those who wish to feel. That song.
Yeah. I know
has that refrain in it.
Yeah. That's a big deal of it. And then also a lot of these people, I'm just gonna say, are just mediocre.
Yeah.
Like they're there to fulfill a job, get a paycheck. They don't care. They don't really want to care. I don't know. They're just like, this is what it is.
Yeah, that's really a shame. I mean, when you show up to work, you're 9 to 5 and you're a cog in the machine. Like I kind of get the mentality of, yeah, it's just a job. I'm here to collect my paycheck, and if I didn't have to rely on money, I would never show up to this place ever again, sort of job. Most people are in those jobs. There are very, very few lucky people who get to be creative, who get to pursue a passion of writing, filmmaking, directing, editing, scoring, Foley artisting, key gripping, set designing, Weta workshopping, all those cool things. There's very, very few people who get to do that. And to allow a couple bean counters to supplant those with actual talent and drive and skill is a crime.
Oh yeah, indeed.
And it's only going to get worse when AI starts trying to replace creative people. Because AI can only be as creative as the things that you put into it, and a finished product doesn't show a creative process.
No. Yeah.
Like I could trace something perfectly and give it to an AI, and there's zero creativity in that.
Yeah.
I traced a picture.
Yeah. I mean, like I could tell an AI, like. Well, actually, no, I couldn't tell an AI what makes a good story because it's completely like, I mean, like there are basic ideas and like levels and tropes of shit like that, but those
you could feed it a textbook of
the rules, but that's not like what
in college or something. Yeah. And you can say these things typically work for a story, having clearly defined protagonists, antagonists, pretty obvious building tension, climaxes, and resolutions. Those things work generally for all stories because they keep a reader engaged. They give us people to care about and people to hate about. And that's what Rings of Power sort of fails on fundamentally, I think, is it misses all those basics, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Because I can't really tell you who the true main character is. It's not Elrond. I mean, I guess it's supposed to be Galadriel, right?
It's supposed to be Galadriel, but she... The show is so schizophrenic. It doesn't even allow you to settle on one character long enough to be able to think that you could say that they're the main character.
Well, and I don't even know if it's that. I mean, I actually think it has better pacing than Wheel of Time does in terms of that, like the frenetic flipping between storylines. And truthfully, the Harfoot storyline is really the only thing they cut out. They cut around. Like they go from basically Galadriel and all the other characters are together for most of the story that matters. Either together in Numenor or they're together in Middle Earth. And then you've got Elrond and Durin doing their thing mostly in the caves, a little bit with the wife, a little bit with the king. And then so there's not a whole lot of like multiple plot lines to follow, whereas the Wheel of Time splits the characters, fragments the story a lot more than the Rings of Power has so far, I think. So if anything, the Harfoot storyline serves to give us one more way to cut out of a storyline when they have no ideas.
Which is basically 80% of the show.
I mean, I really think that the final episode, the events of the final episode, could have occurred halfway through the season. We could have done everything that quote unquote, and I hate to do that, but you can't see my face.
Yeah.
So you can't see my eyeballs. Happened. you could have compressed all that into 4 episodes, and you would still have had filler, I think.
Oh, yeah.
And you could have probably improved on some things, too.
Tons of filler.
So there were ways to make it better. But then, of course, if you do that, that means now you have to write a story for the final 4 episodes. So what do you make the climax then? What do you want to have happen then? And I know that, you know, being creative is hard. I don't do it well. But then again, I don't get paid to do it. I'm not lucky enough to do it like that. I get to be creative in terms of, like, cooking food, and that's about it. Which is fine, actually.
Yeah, we need
Now that I
good
think about it,
chefs.
that's my own creative outlet, I suppose.
Yeah. I'm not so sure, like, how you would, if you would have had the Elven rings forged halfway through the show, what you would do with the rest of the show. Because the Elven rings
wherever you're gonna take season 2.
Well, they take season 2 in a weird way. I mean,
yeah,
I can't say what they take season 2 in, but like, it's the Elven rings that get forged first that's really annoying. Like, I don't understand. There's not even a test run on Celebrimbor's part.
Yeah,
you
know,
know,
the theory behind it seems so half-baked, it's great. Like, oh, we have to coax them together. They have to want to join, which actually sounds kind of magical. So I kind of get that, actually. If you're going to be creating a magical alloy, combining them in magical, non-traditional ways, kind of groovy. I like that. But there's no, like, if you're going to have this mad scientist and his evil Sauron helper working on it, maybe Rick and Morty it up a little bit. Maybe sprinkle in a little bit of the professor in there for me. Give me some experimentation. Give me some failures other than just one explosion, one bang.
Yeah.
And then you solve it. You know, that's pretty boring. For something that's so impactful, maybe you should actually, like hell, Breaking Bad showed me more about them cooking meth than this show has creating the Rings of Power. It's kind of a weird balance. Although, Breaking Bad Season 1 is just better TV.
It is. I mean, all of Breaking Bad is better than Rings of Power.
Yeah, it's Rings of Power does not set a high bar. You know, it's really kind of sad because we kind of went through a golden renaissance of television, you know, for a while. Had a lot of great TV shows. You look at the quality jump from the shows we watched in the 90s to the shows we watched in the 2010s. Huge difference. We started getting really cool special effects come to life on screen. You know, CGI was not out of the realm of possibility for television anymore. We're starting to get big name actors relishing the chance to have roles that a character that takes a whole season to develop as opposed to just an hour and 40 minutes on screen. You know, there's something to be said for consistent work as well, I'm sure, for being an actor and working 22 episodes. We went to premium channels creating premium content. You've got the rise of shows like Breaking Bad,
The Sopranos.
Yep. Babylon 5 is a pretty good example of sort of a transitionary show where you're starting to get more mature. You're starting to really like get away from light sitcom and into some real sort of semi-dystopian future with slivers of hope and some hard sci-fi and some completely CGI generated effects, which don't age particularly well, but you should be able to see past it if you want to listen to the story being told.
Yeah.
So that was a good transitionary one right there. I think some of later Star Trek is transitionary as well. We start getting into the you know, DS9, Voyager, and Enterprise in the late 90s, early aughts. You're starting to see more mature themes being handled. It's a darker show, which I kind of hate, but no, darker literally.
Yeah.
They're all sort of lit more darkly, and then you've got better CGI as well. So all these things are kind of neat, seeing television get better. But now streaming wars have sort of collapsed, and now we have like a black hole of TV where the internet, the streamers just sort of churn out stuff and see what sticks. And even if fans like it, if it's not enough, I don't really know how you quantify whether it's good enough or not for these people, and they axe it, and it's really disappointing.
Yeah, 1899, perfect example. Season 1, frickin' gold. Dead before it even got a season 2, even though that Netflix sunk hundreds of millions into it. Actually, I don't know about 100. Actually, no, definitely hundreds of millions.
Thousands, Mr. Scott, thousands.
No, yeah, like, yeah, there's some, I mean, yeah, like, the volume is just...
Let's go to the alley real quick, find the box.
Yes. Keep that bastard.
Yeah, so
alive.
we're regressing again, people, and I think maybe studios think we're all really dumb, and I hate to say it, maybe they're right. Like maybe this is what people want, and
No.
maybe I'm wrong. You know, it's very possible. We all live. We're all the heroes of our own stories. Oh hell yeah!
Oh nice.
Yes. Did you catch what I did there? That's the false humility, the worst kind of boasting.
Yes, well, I'm going to go the opposite. I'm just going to arrogantly assert that I'm right and everyone else is wrong. Because I have yet to meet someone who liked Rings of Power.
Except for the people that made it, who have to tell you that they loved it on TV.
Well, yeah, but they're paid shills.
They're
They're like prostitutes. Every prostitute says you did a good job, even though everyone knows you didn't. So it's like,
oh, Daddy, that was the best I ever had.
Yeah, right.
I almost feel bad charging you.
Yeah, exactly. That's how I feel about Rings of Power.
That you have to give it props and take its money, pretend that you liked it.
No, the exact.
You feel like a whore?
No, I meant okay. No. I meant like I have to I feel bad for subscribing to Amazon still because it's being made actively.
Yeah, and you know the really disgusting thing is I know that there's so many better things that could be made out there that would cost less money than Rings of Power too. And now I don't have examples. I don't know what people have written, but just because of the law of large numbers, there will be good scripts out there that will never be made, and it's a shame.
Yeah.
And it's possible to make great stuff on a limited budget. I mean, how much do you think it costs to make Clerks? Not that much.
Yeah,
and
no.
it's a freaking classic. So it can absolutely be done.
Yeah, low budget tends to bring out the best. I mean, so long as it's not like, I mean, if it has
creativity,
like a good story.
at least.
Yeah, the creativity
Like,
and the
sometimes
the
it forces
stretching
people
of,
to be very creative. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But definitely can't have that in Rings of Power because they're flushed with cash.
So we went kind of far afield where we were discussing like the characters and why I don't like them. So I think I've exhausted that on my front. Now, if there's anything you would like to, that I missed, because you got more like this is wrong because it's it's contradicted in lore. Or
Well, okay, yeah,
whatever.
take away all like the personal bad choices for character and hair design and costumes are more or less okay. And acting ability and the rest of it. Like Galadriel very much does not fit anywhere in the lore because
Ironically, she actually looks the most like an elf, though.
she does. Yeah, she does.
Can you imagine if they had given her a butch haircut?
Ooh, that would have been bad. Just
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I was rambling for a while,
yeah,
so.
no, yeah, like that would have been bad. But no, yeah. So like, Galadriel, like, she's at this point in her age, or in her age, in the second age, she is definitely not this massively arrogant, pricky, woolly-headed, strong arm of a woman, or elf woman, whatever you want to call her, who thinks that she's absolutely right in all respects and is completely train wrecked through everything because she's like, a freaking warrior who's been training. Like, she's like Glorfindel style power, which makes no sense. I mean, like, Galadriel never she did fight in a few battles. The one that you can definitely say for sure is during the first kinslaying, she fought against Feanor and the first party in defense of her mother's people in Aquilande. So like, so she definitely fights there. But by the time she gets to Middle Earth, and especially after the first age with her tutelage in Menegroth under Melian, and becoming a really wise leader and understanding pity, understanding the fiery temper that she had needed to be quenched a bit. So like all these personal growths that led her into like the second age when she is dwelling with Celeborn, depending on what story you take it from, in Lothlorien or in Lindon. like she's a much more wisely queen, even though she's not a queen at this point, because Gil-galad is, I mean, like High King of the Noldor, and even being in the Third Age, she's not queen. She's like the Lady of Lorien, but she's not a queen of all elves, or even Queen of Lorien either, because that's just not quite her. Yeah, that's just not her bag, even though she does lead. So it doesn't make sense for her to be this fiery and this impulsive, and this just straight unlikable.
Blinded by ambition and by her own arrogance. I mean, she really overlooks all the character defects that Halbrand, all the red flags. Like, boys and girls, if you're dating and someone throws up red flags like that, just cut and run, man. It ain't worth it.
Yeah,
it'll turn out to be Sauron.
Yeah. Because in the
mortar all over your bedroom.
Because in the lore,
let's teleport. I want to pack a punch.
Yeah, Gil-galad and Elrond and Galadriel were very, very weary of Anatar when he first came. But in Eregion, Celebrimbor and the Smiths of Eregion were so excited to have a boatload of new knowledge that they were completely willing to overlook the warnings of the king and a couple of the other wise to learn this new craft, and we saw how that worked out. So you even know at this point that she is wiser than this, and so
and she doesn't show any of that wisdom until the very, very end, when it's essentially too late, and then she's like, well, actually, now we'll get a tripod, because checks and balances with threes works really, really well.
Yeah, exactly. I would say, I would say she has no wisdom in the end, because she realizes the plan is Sauron's, and she still elects to go for it.
In fact, she triples down.
Yeah, she triples down, and we're gonna make one
no, we
more.
have to make 3. We're not gonna make 2. Fuck that. We're making 3.
Yeah.
Word.
Yeah.
And then of course that leads. I guess we're far away from the character, but the Mithril thing in the rings. Yeah.
Yeah. That just makes no sense. Like, this Mithril is no part of the rings. It doesn't need a special ore with a special quality of gold and silver from Valinor to create this special ring.
And giving it the light of one of the Silmarils is pretty ballsy too, right? That's not really how it works.
No. Mithril is just a special ore. The light of, the light of a Silmaril, that makes no sense. I mean, no Belrog and elf ever fought over a Silmaril that was housing in a tree. I mean, as I've said many times, there are 3 Silmarils. One of them is in the air, one of them is in the ocean, and one of them is in the cracks of the earth. So very stated where they are. So
it just seems to me, and you can correct me, that the whole tree thing is just trying to call back to the trees of Gondor.
Yeah.
They're trying to make sure that we get the trees are important, and trees represent the health of the society that they're planted within. The tree of Gondor will only bloom when the king is back, and therefore the country will be healed. And as the tree in Numenor is bleeding its leaves, or
Nimloth,
the tree and wherever the hell else is getting all sickly. It's just tree this, tree that. Fantastic.
Yeah. Which, in that respect, is... not the elven tree in Lindon, because that makes no sense, but Nimloth, the white tree in Numenor, bleeding petals as the Valar are displeased, and the tree itself being... because one of the kings prophesied that the tree will wither when Numenor... Or, when the tree withers, Numenor falls, something like that. So, that right there is okay, but not the elven part of it, because that linking their immortality to a tree makes no sense. Having all elves have to abandon Middle-earth makes no sense. Middle-earth has a lot of freaking elves, and not all of them are Noldorian, and not all of them recognize your authority.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, good point.
Why? So they really do make out that all the elves are from Valinor and came from Valinor, and all follow the same king. And there's a whole.
And they all speak Quenya.
Yeah, and they all speak Quenya exactly. There are multiple elven races here. There's multiple languages. There's multiple sundering of elves. There's elves that are so far removed from the high elves that you almost can barely even call them the same category of elves. There's a whole fucking lost tribe of elves somewhere in Middle Earth that has, as far as you know, never been, or as we know, never been touched by the outside. They might just be completely still in peace upon the where they awoke hundreds of millennia ago. You know, there's just way too many just to say, ooh, all elves need to leave or else they'll all wither and die. All right, cool, mate. Give me a good reason.
And just throwing that in there is also really dumb because that's sort of like a big trope in the Lord of the Rings movies. They talk about it a lot. The light of the Eldar is fading. You know, soon our people will be leaving these shores. There's this issue with Arwen. Is she going to give up immortality to stay, or is she going to go with her people? You know, it's a thing that we talk about a lot in those Lord of the Rings movies. So of course they have to bring a callback to that somehow by making some stuff up again.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, either respect us enough to give us the actual story, or don't make a story. Don't write it. Don't put it out there. You got to respect your audience at some level too, right? And I don't think they do.
No. If they respect the audience, I'm a fish.
You a gay fish?
Okay, I don't know why you're bringing sexuality into this.
Because it just reminded me of Kanye West, that South Park episode. Yes, motherfucker, I'm a gay fish.
Oh, yes!
Monkeys.
I just got an HK-21.
Nice. I'm hoping for a good third weapon here as well. PPSH, not really what I would call a good weapon. Can I make it one more time? No! Oh, fuck. Well, my third weapon is now PPSH. PPSH.
I got HK-21.
No, it's a Spectre, sorry. That's a different gun, yeah. Wow, I think I'm looking at a different Call of Duty right there. PPSH is that Russian gun, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, what the hell? That's funny. We're not playing World at War. Yeah, I wonder if those servers work anymore.
Ooh, I remember. Last time we tried, we had a problem. We should try it again.
I'm down to give it a shot.
Yeah. I'm actually pretty sure I can download a dedicated World at War zombie server from Steam.
That
I'm
would
pretty
be
sure
dope.
I can.
We should do that and then, well, yeah. Play OG World at War.
Yeah, because that shit's
Which
fun.
is actually harder.
Yes.
It really is.
The zombies are trickier. They're faster, they can hit you in weirder ways, and the game physics are not as clear-cut.
And they grab a hold of you. They can, like, actually, like, snag you.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of trippy shit.
I got a Galil out of the box just now, so I'm pretty happy with my loadout.
Nice.
Ooh, dags.
Dogs. 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 But yeah, so yeah, season 1. I mean, like, yeah, it's mostly a disappointment.
Yep.
And when I see mostly a disappointment, it's 100% a disappointment. There's nothing good about it. Like, I can't even say that. Ooh, I get to see some of my favorite characters on screen. Because I already have it. You
could at least say that about Wheel of Time. You
yeah,
can at least
exactly.
say about that.
Yeah, in Wheel of Time, that fact works. Here, it just definitely doesn't. I mean, like, the one thing I will say about the Hobbit movies, like, I absolutely loathe them from top to bottom. The only part that I actually enjoy watching is when the White Council drives Sauron out of Dungledore. And even though I know it's screwed up, it's a device of Saruman's that they use to get Sauron out, and Galadriel isn't there. But if you take away all that, I still like watching the fight between the Nazgul and even though it is a little weird that it's all sword by sword and not slightly more magic-y, because that's actually how it should go, not just strict. Because it's like the Wraiths don't have a physical body.
Yeah,
like
I want to see some magic. It's okay, Peter Jackson, to show me some magic stuff. Like, I promise you, no one's gonna be disappointed by an overt display of magic by the magicians.
Yeah, exactly. It isn't until
wizards, I should say. Sorry, magicians is
the wizards.
Is not appropriate.
Yeah, I mean, like, Saruman does wizard it up a decent amount because he makes those cool light shields around himself and uses his staff to stop the Wraith sword. So that makes sense. And I guess you could be like, well, Elrond's sword is magic wrought and has elven glyphs, so it will be able to counter the Wraith sword, even though the Wraith sword shouldn't be able to do anything because it's not real. But like, let's just take that as an aside. It's still really, I really enjoy watching that scene. It's pretty freaking cool. I don't really like how Galadriel though uses the vial. that she gives Frodo to she uses like that to banish Sauron in her hand. It's just like, okay, that's too much of a member berry to Lord of the Rings. You could have just done something different, or just have her hand explode light. Because I mean, like Gandalf does it in the Return of the King when he speeds out with Pippin. No, Pippin's up on the
no, but he's trying to save Faramir's.
He's saving the retreat. He doesn't lift up his staff, and the light comes out. Pippin sees his hand raise, and light bursts from it. So like it's right there. It's an easy that's just an easy thing to.
You could have done it.
Recreate. But as a whole, though, I really do like that scene. It's fun to watch. But the rest of The Hobbit is mediocre garbage. I mean, not like mediocre.
It actually starts out very, very well when you think about it. If you can disregard the way that the dwarves look, as in not dwarf-like they gave the hero dwarves, the ones that are obviously going to have bigger speaking roles, shorter goatees, which is like shameful for a dwarf. Like, what the hell? I can't imagine Thorin like being caught dead without his beard unless something like catastrophic, like not unless it was burned off by Smaug in his death throes.
Right.
That's the only way I can see Thorin or any member of the company.
And Thorin being so young too. I mean, like,
why isn't he like 65? Why isn't the actor older? I mean, it's okay. They're old, crusty dudes.
No, yeah, like
fuck, that's what stunt doubles are for. If you want them to fight, god damn.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, like
Thorin
is the
Ian McKellen to be fighting. Not really.
Yeah. Thorin is the oldest member of the company, minus Gandalf, because he doesn't count. He's immortal, technically. He's the oldest member of the company. He's older than Balin, even though they're like, ooh, Balin is way older than you, apparently. What? That makes no sense.
Well, I think Balin is always supposed to... the fact that he's older made no sense. And I think they were trying to really pull into the trope, like, Balin is the guy that explains things to us.
Yeah.
Therefore, it's better if he's older.
He's the narrator.
Sort of mentality. I don't necessarily have to agree with it, but I can understand their choice there. I think, but the fact that there's the hot, sexy dwarves that have love interests that don't have long beards, and then there's a hero dwarf that doesn't have a beard. So it's just sort of weak. Give them all beards. Gimli was a hero dwarf and he had a beard, and you think that like detracted from his personality, character, or humor in his role? No. 9.
Yeah.
So irritates me.
Yeah.
Really grinds my gears.
God damn it, I got 2 shotguns in a row.
Okay. I got 2 CZs.
Yikes.
So I'll keep Michael Leal. Thank you very much, Box.
And like another thing that bothers me about The Hobbit is how overexposed everything is.
Do you feel everything is too bright?
Oh yeah, it's way too bright. It's way too cheery. Like the dirt doesn't look like dirt.
But how do you... See, here's the thing with The Hobbit. I think it's just a bad movie to adapt to screen because it's a children's story.
Yes.
And you don't want it... Like, The Lord of the Rings can be more adult, but The Hobbit is really meant to be like a fairy tale, a children's story, and it can have dark thematic elements, but the book just doesn't feel like The Lord of the Rings, and the story isn't told the same way, and it shouldn't be shown that way on a screen. Like, cartoon all the way for The Hobbit, man.
Yes. Cartoon, and in one movie, not 3.
Yeah.
It's like, that's the most shameless money grab I had seen.
Like, I want to actually see Bilbo dancing around spiders in Mirkwood singing Addercop, Addercop.
Yeah.
I want to see that goofiness, and it wouldn't work in live action, but you can totally make... Like, you've seen Aang in The Last Avatar do shit like that, and at no point you're like, oh, that's so dumb. You know?
Yes.
So, oh, wow, there's a lot of... Oh, my God, Ian, what did you do?
Yeah, they're all coming to you.
Yes.
I got cornered in the throne room. And when I mean throne room, I mean the stairs up to the main
bathroom.
Room.
I'm on the throne!
Oh, no, we're dead.
No! Okay, well, I got you up, but...
Nope.
Ah,
yeah,
balls.
but there was a golem right there, and I was like, nope, this is impossible to go for.
Oh, man. Well, hey, that was pretty good.
Yeah, we didn't die 10 times.
Yeah, I mean, 8 times.
Or 8 times. Yeah, you know, it's the one map, round 21, pretty good amount of kills for both of us, not a huge disparity, a pretty flowing conversation, very much on point. I mean, minus the few times where we strayed off to different vectors, but we always got back to the topic
Brought it back
hand.
on topic. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
All right, well, Earthlings, thank you so much for joining us once again on our stream of consciousness. We hope you enjoyed the conversation. As always, feel free to disagree with us and tell us how we're wrong so we can tell you in turn why you're wrong.
Yes, definitely. Thank you for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe down to this video. Check out our Patreon. Check out our Reddit. And you guys have a really good day, and we will see you guys next time.